So this is a video of me going through page 7, and I wanted to just make a video for this to go through any questions that you struggled with on your own. And so I'm just going to kind of dive on in here. For number 1, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, and so we want to combine like terms. And we've got 5 y's that we're going to group with the negative 8 y's. So 5 minus 8 is the negative 3 y's. Now right here, 7 minus 3 is 4, and that's where I get my positive 4. So now I'm ready to drop the line and solve. When we drop our line and solve, we go on to get a negative 11 for this one. Now number 2 definitely causes some confusion, and we need to start out here by distributing this negative 3 to 2, and that's where I get this negative 6. And now a negative 3 times a negative u, a negative 3 times a negative 1u would be a positive 3u. The negative times negative becomes a positive 3u. So that's where I get my 3u. So I'll highlight that part to help it stand out a little bit. That the first thing we're just doing here is distributing this negative 3, and that's where I get my negative 6 plus 3u. Now we're ready to combine like terms, and so I've got these 6 negative u's, and I'm going to add 3 u's to that, and negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Now I simply bring down the negative 6, and now I have my two-step equation ready to solve. We drop our line and we add 6 to both sides, and then we divide by our negative coefficient for it to cancel out, and for this one we get a negative 18. Alright, for number 3 here, we actually have to distribute twice. So a 6 gets distributed, 6 times 4 is my 24. 6 times a negative 2 is negative 12, and that's why 6 times negative 2y is negative 12y. Now we have here, we distribute a negative 3. Negative 3 is what's getting distributed, and I'll highlight it here to help it stand out. That negative 3 is being distributed, and that's where I get my negative 15. And then this negative 3 times 3y becomes a negative 9y. Now we are ready to combine like terms. So I'm going to go after the y's first. I've got 12 negative y's minus 9. So that's the same sign, add and keep. We have 21 negative y's. Now 24 minus 15 is 9, and since it's a positive 9, I have a plus 9 as my constant. And now I'm ready to drop the line and solve. We subtract 9 on both sides to get a 42. Then when we divide by the negative 21 here, we get a negative 2 for our answer. Now for number 4, when we distribute a half, we want to take half of 6x, and that's 3x. And then half of negative 10 is negative 5. So we literally just cut these in half or divide by 2. Half of 6x would be 3x, and half of negative 10 would be negative 5. Now we've got our two-step equation where we're ready to drop our line and solve by adding 5 on both sides to cancel out the constant, and 16 plus 5 is 21. Then we'll divide both sides by the coefficient, and x here is 7. Now I'm getting ready to talk about 5, 6, and 7 for the Google form. For number 5, we're told that the length of a basketball court is 16 less than twice the width. So I'm actually going to draw your attention right here that we're told that the length is, so I've got L equals 16 less than, so I box the than, and there's my twice the width coming first. So twice the width minus 16, that's the length. Now over here I want to remind you guys about the formula for perimeter of a rectangle, and it says to take twice the length and add it to twice the width, and you'll have the distance all the way around. Now this problem tells us that the perimeter is a 268, and now I'm ready to explain this equation to you all. All I've done is taken the perimeter and plugged it in. We're given in the problem that it's a 268. We're also told in the problem that the length is 16 less than twice the width. And then of course I still have plus 2w. So that's how I got this equation that I provided to you guys to use. And now we need to distribute right here to solve. 2 times 2w is where I got my 4w. And 2 times negative 16 is where I got this negative 32. And all I'm doing is bringing down the 268 and the plus 2w after that. Now here, we're not ready to solve because we need to combine like terms. So 4w's plus 2w's is where I get my 6w's, and I just bring down the 32 that's negative. And now I have 268 equals 6w minus 32, and we're ready to solve. So we add the 32 to both sides for it to cancel out, and we get 300. And now when we divide the 300 by 6, we get that the width is 50. So now we found that the width of the basketball court is 50. We were originally told that the length is 16 less than twice the width. So twice the width then would be 100. Now what is 16 less than that? And we have now solved for the length to be 84 feet. Now to check, we'll just use our calculator. It should be the 50 plus the 50, that's the two widths right there, plus an 84 plus an 84, the two lengths. And that checks out to be the perimeter of 268. All right, now for this problem, consecutive means back to back to back. So we have one number out there, that's the first number in our list. We have another number that comes right after it, so that would be that number plus 1. And then the number after that would be x plus 2. Let me model this for you. If this first number was a 4, what would you have to do to 4 to get the next consecutive number 5? Well, you'd just add 1. What would you have to do to 4 to get the next number after 5? You'd actually take the 4 plus 2 to get 6. This is a list of 3 consecutive numbers, and if we were to add 4 plus 5 plus 6, this sum would actually be here of 15. So for our problem, we're told that the sum of 3 consecutive integers is 63. So here's my first number, plus the number right after it, plus the number after that. And we now can combine like terms to see 1, 2, 3 x's, and then my constants, 1 plus 2 is a 3. Now when we drop our line and solve, we're going to go on to get that x would be 20. That means the first number in our list here would be a 20. So the next number after that would be 20 plus 1 is 21. And the next number after that would be 20 plus 2, that's the 22. These are our 3 integers, and the largest integer would be 22. Now we can check that we're right by taking that the original number x here is 20. I'm going to add a 21 to that, now plus a 22. And the sum of those 3 consecutive integers is in fact a 63. And that concludes the video here on page 7. Thank you.